My name is Corinne Belanger, and this is my husband, John Belanger.
Am I supposed to look at the camera or?
John!
Oh,
My name is Corinne Belanger, and this is my husband, John Belanger, and we live in Swan River, Manitoba. We have a business here called Creestar Gifts, and it's inspired from who we are. I am from Sapatoyak Cree Nation, and John is from White Bear First Nation, and we have 7 children all together. We have 3 beautiful children that are biological, and we have adopted 4 other children. The beginning of my camp experience started when I was 6 or 7. I'm not entirely sure how old I was, but I was really fortunate to have a very passionate lady come into my community's life. Her name was Mrs. Davy. Mrs. Davy would come and get us in the summertime from a very big family, so I have lots of first cousins, and so I have lots of really good memories of going to camp with them. There was like an altar call, right? An opportunity to receive Jesus in your heart. And I remember that battle for my soul. And I remember in my heart, I said yes. After that experience, I always knew that there was this Jesus that loved me. We moved to the city, to Brandon. I seen my mom just begin a career of alcoholism. And her primary concern was herself. I remember looking into people's houses at night, just wishing I had that, just wish I had a family, people that cared about me. But Jesus was with me. Along that path, I put him kind of in the back seat. And it was through the AA program that I met a lady, and she kept saying, "You got to come to church with me." She just would not give up. She was relentless. And so I finally said, okay, I'll come. And I fell in love with God again. And I was already engaged to John. I knew he was kind of opposed to church. He didn't like it. And so I said to God, okay, God, I don't know what to do, but I love you. And I surrender, John, my marriage to you, and I'm going to serve you. For me, that was like jumping off a cliff. Like, how is this all going to work? I had no idea. I don't know if I would have said yes at that moment if I had known it was going to take 20 years.
I went to church here and there throughout my life, but I didn't have a relationship. And at one point, I think I just outright rejected it. What these ministers would say, that all you need is Jesus, and I didn't understand that. It came down to a point where, my little girl is harming herself, and I don't have an answer. And I can't think myself through this problem. Like, there's nothing I could do but reach out and call on God. And then when she started going to camp, things started changing in her. I remember my oldest son started crying after camp, wanting to go back. And I never ever would have, in my wildest dreams, would have guessed that my kids would want to go back to Bible camp. Like, I went to Bible camp once, and I heard the gospel there. I rejected it. I was 14, I was angry. So when I saw my kids go to camp, and they came back with this light that I couldn't explain, that I couldn't deny that they had, that got me. That got me thinking, there's some truth here that I never saw anywhere else in my whole life. And I started slowly, but by 2020, I wasn't really going to church yet, but I was watching it on TV, and I was listening. I surrendered sometime around then. In 2020, I had a dream of all these youth were standing in a circle, and they were talking and visiting and laughing, and all of a sudden we're in water. They're in water, and I'm with them in water, and they started diving in. And then so I jumped in, and when I woke up, I knew that was baptism. I got baptized at Madge Lake with my wife and kids, and Madge Lake staff, and Ryan baptized us. And life ain't perfect. We're not perfect parents, Yeah, we've had a lot of ups and downs, but you know, with reaching out to God and going to church and getting prayer when needed, and just continuing getting to know who Jesus is through Scripture and the Word, you know, I'd never go back to my old life. And the big test for me was, I guess, fostering. You know, before I was saved, I could say I love the children we had, but I didn't like anybody else. That ain't the love of God. He's adopted us. I finally got it. Like, she's my daughter, I'm gonna love her like my daughter, right? She's not a stranger. And now we have 3 more. We have her brothers in our life. Those are our kids.
I did not grow up in a Christian home, and I was living with my grandparents at the time, and it was not a good home. So when I turned 10, 11, I got sent to foster care, and I was moved around a lot to different houses. My art teacher was my mom. That's when I didn't live with her. I told her about all the things that happened to me. One day, she came and picked me up and said she wanted to take care of me. Yeah, I moved into their house. It was a 2-bedroom house, and there was 3 other kids. So I shared a room with my 2 sisters. But my parents really helped me, and I love my parents so much, and I want to thank them because they helped me to get to know God and Jesus, and they brought me to church, youth group, kids club, Magic Bible Camp. And my first year at Bible camp, that is when I asked Jesus into my heart with my cabin leaders. Working at camp, it's really fun. I love working at camp. I love having new campers each time and getting to know them a lot. Devos with them and just helping them get out of their zone and talking more and making new friends. And now I see Magic Bible Camp as my second family because everyone makes me feel included, and I just feel loved and cared for there.
I thank God today for camp, because camp saved my life as a kid, and I know it continues to save lives today. That's why we send kids to camp. I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't been introduced to Jesus as a little girl. At camp, God does things for kids there. In that place, over that period of time, you're immersed, and he reaches people's hearts, hard hearts even. You know, kids that we don't know where they come from, but he can reach them in that place because he did it for me.